Hello, everyone. As you should know, the first step in the process of exporting models using Pollination Revit plugin is to click on this select apertures doors and try to select these doors and apertures. So until now, the process was you would come here and select them, right? Like this double click, and then you just trust it would work. You had the option, and you still have the option of right clicking and selecting all the instances in Revit. In this case, it's in the back of the building here, and see, if these are the ones that you want to export. But it wasn't ideal, right? For large models, particularly, we had this thing of you had to keep track of the selection. It was easy to lose track because you would click on something else to edit, and now you had to go and select everything else. So there are two main changes in the new UI that makes it easier. One is now there is a viewer on this side for preview. So when you select family, you'll see them here. You see this small preview. That can by itself be very helpful to understand if you need to export or not. We also have this functionality here that you can preview one or all of the windows in the model. So now I can quickly see them in the model and see how they look like and how they will be exported. This is particularly helpful if you want to know, like if you should include a material or not, and how does that affect the export, or if you want to know how the panel calculation will make a difference. For this model, things are simple, so these are not going to make major differences, but for larger models, this is very helpful. The other thing that you can do is you can select more than one and then visualize. So I'm selecting both of them, and now I can visualize this to see how they look like when they export. So now I should see all the fixed windows, and I should see all the glazed ones. So here you go. So you can clearly see them. I mean, until now, I didn't know about this ones on the skylight on the side of the skylights. Um, I had to do this to just learn about them. But this is a view, and you can also color them by family type. So if you have more than one, you can select this here, and you can color them. So that also gives you a visual understanding of where each windows uh, that you're selecting are in the building, and then that will help you to make the decision if you want to export them or not. So this is a full viewer, right? Like all the things that you could do in the viewer, you can do here. The names are here, the color is there, and the name is on top of the each piece of glass, so you can read them and get a better understanding of what is what. Now, if you want to export them, you just select and change the export the status to export. That means these windows will be exported. So it doesn't matter if you have them selected or not. It's easier to understand. And for example, this one is a solid panel. I can see it here. I don't need it. So I select this to be do not export. So as easy as this. Now, like for each category, you want to end up from, ready to review to have them either exported or not exported. One other thing that you can do is when you select and create this preview, you can actually export this as an HBJSON honeybee model or HTML. So HBJSON is useful for some of the workflows that you want to take this Windows to Rhino, or you want to take this Windows and run some scripts to get the sizes, all those stuff without going through the export process. And HTML is useful because you can have a standalone HTML file and you can just zoom in and see what is what. It's very useful when you start the process to get a better sense of the whole model and the windows. So you can do the same thing with doors. So now I selected this. I can do the exact same thing with door. For example, for this one, there's 61 of them, 63 of them. Sorry, I can just try to preview all, and it will, it should show where they are in the model. Let's see. I think this is okay. I'm glad that it created this. So if you have color by family type and you only have one color, it will not zoom in correctly. So that's a bug that we can fix. I'm glad that I hit it. So, but if I select more than one, then you see like it just zoomed by itself. Yeah, that's something that we should fix. Um, So that's why it was white, because it didn't do the zoom to extend. Right? If you remove the color by, I mean, if you have one really like color by family type, doesn't make much sense. So now you can see I can do that for doors. Right? So I can see all the doors. I think this will give me finally uh, the ability to really make decision about exporting doors. I almost always are just in all the video tutorials, everything. I used to just ignore the doors because there are too many of them. You know, who has the time to check? With this UI, you can quickly check them. You can visualize all of them, and it's pretty fast. We have tested it with larger models because we only get the, doors and windows and view them quickly in the UI. It's a very fast kind of like process to make decisions. And similarly, the type is written here on them. So if you want to get an understanding of what is what, and yes, similarly, if you want to be exported, you have to select them and make the decision to export, not to export. So the last feature that I want to show you here is that when you have, again, particularly in large models, there are some cases that you see, like, they're nested families or they're families, or let's say there's this door here that you want to export. And in this case, the name is easy to read and there are not that many. So you can fairly quickly find them, unless you're like me that gets confused to find. But in the larger models, it's really easy just it's really sometimes it's really hard to go through the whole list to find by name. So now we have this workflow that if you have a selection here in Revit, you can just click here. This is similar to workflow that we have in Shades, and you can say pick from selection, and you can see it went and quickly picked the one for me in the UI. I can do something similar here with the window to give you a sense. If I'm here, I'm there, and I want to get a better sense of which window is that, I can go here to apertures, and then I can click here and say pick. Oh, no, I wanted to say like from selection, but it's okay, it's pick. And then it came here and found it, and it highlights it here for me. So there is this two-way communication now between the two. So one thing besides this rendering issue that we have here, which is not great, is that if you have multiple windows, maybe I do it indoors so you can see them. So let's say I have this thing here, and then I start reviewing and say I want this to be export, this one do not export. And then now if I change my mind, or if I have this thing hidden and say actually let's go back, this I want this to be reviewed, the order might change, like this thing's just collapse up and down. It's not ideal. We figured that's a lot of work in the UI, and then we want to redo this UI anyways next year. So for now, just enjoy the workflow. I think it's much easier to select. It's much easier to understand and trust what you have selected is close to what you really want in your energy model. And then we will improve the user interface um, at some point next year. Thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and let us know if you have any questions or comments. As always, the best place to reach out to us is on Discourse. It's at discourse.pollination.solutions. Thank you so much.